welcome to the show, Kim.
Hey.
The newer show, because you've been on the other show.
Yep.
And this one's a bit different, as we discussed. This one's, I feel like the other one focuses on addiction and touches on trauma, and this one touches on addiction but focuses on trauma. So that's kind of why I started it, because I started noticing that, especially recently, like everybody I talked to had so much trauma, but we couldn't like get into it because we had so much more to get into with the addiction side of it. I was like, I want to do a different show that focused on trauma. So,
Yeah. It's a good
yeah,
idea. Like a lot of people's, mine specifically, addiction like was a way to cope with the trauma. So the
yeah,
trauma is the main monster for me.
yeah. Like, that's what keeps us in addiction, is like wanting to get numb over the trauma that we had to face,
Yep.
and so yeah, here we are. Let's start. Where did you grow up? What state?
Ohio.
Ohio. And
Unfortunately.
remember, I'm gonna
There.
ask you questions that I probably already asked you before, but it's a new
No,
show.
yeah, go ahead. You're
So
good.
I know Ohio because you are Ohio State fan and I'm a Michigan fan, and here we are. Yeah, you guys finally beat us this year. So Ohio, what was it like growing up? Single, your parents together, or did you grow up like going to separate house? What was it like?
So my mom and dad are and have been in the same household ever since I existed. Um, they're miserable. Like, I can't even tell you the last time, like so many years ago, that they actually have kissed each other or said I love you or anything. And like, I remember when I was young, like elementary school. So my dad's an alcoholic. I got him in treatment and he's been sober for like a year and a half now.
Okay.
Um, but like I remember my mom showing up and she's never touched a drink or a drug. So like I felt like I was the person, like the kid that I would never meet to be like expectation wise. And my dad, I would just tell him to stay home because he would show up to like my programs like under the influence. So it was embarrassing for me. Like even when I got into high school, like my house was never the house to come to. I was always going everywhere else.
Everywhere else.
Um, but
So,
there,
how
yeah,
you're my age, right? You're born 86.
yep,
Okay, I'm September 29th.
yeah.
Where
I'm
am I older than you?
August.
You're
I'm
so
August 14th, so I'm
you're
older.
Hey, that's a good thing when you're turning 40. You can be older than me, okay, Kim?
I am not trying to be over the hill right now.
Right now we're on the right side of 40 though, for now.
Ugh, for now. For now.
um, did you graduate 05? Just like I did?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yep.
that's cool. Brothers or sisters growing up?
Nope.
Only
I had
child.
a sister that was kind of my half sister, but my sister, she was from my mom was previously was somebody before my dad, and she was like fully handicapped. So she went to like a special school. Unfortunately, she passed away like 4 years ago. Um, but like I've always been like the main, like it's been my mom, my dad, and me. So and my mom and dad are still together, I guess you could say, legally.
Yeah.
But they're miserable and they can't stand each other. They don't even sleep in the same room.
I was
So
literally going to ask that actually. I was
yeah, like
literally
it
about to
was kind of that whatever was modeled to me, I knew I wanted to be opposite of what I did.
Yeah.
Um
And that's why you never really settled, because you didn't want to feel like you settled, right?
yes. Yeah,
Because you
exactly.
never been married, have you?
I'm
Oh,
divorced. I
oh,
got
you were married.
married.
That's right.
I
Okay. Yeah.
was Yeah, I got married when I was 20 years old to someone in the Air Force. And then I got pregnant with my son. And there was some DV issues, which led me to fly back from Washington State to Ohio, where he was stationed. He got discharged from the military for doing what he did, and wasn't even there for the birth of my son, our son. So let me just say, he's never met my son, our son,
Yeah.
ever.
Is that
And
why
like,
your son has your last name?
yes,
Okay.
he has. Yep. And so, but the thing is, like, we've all grown a lot. Like, I have a cordial conversation with my ex-husband and his wife now. She's in the Air Force. They have two kids together, but it's cordial. You know what I'm saying? It's not close. We haven't met in person, but it's cordial. And my son has kind of came to the point of acceptance, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah, yeah, it does.
Hmm.
So yeah, we're gonna hop around obviously because we just hopped around a lot.
For
And
sure.
the only and if you're watching, you're like, how do you know that your son has a different last same name? Because we've been friends for a while now.
We have. We have.
But I don't know everything now, obviously. That's why we're here. So
Yep.
growing up, let's go back to growing up.
Hmm.
What was it like growing up? Because like I'm the oldest of three. So I was only an only child for 3 years.
Hmm.
And what was that like growing up as an only child when you have like friends that have siblings?
Yeah, so like my friends, like one of my like some of my best friends, like their family and their houses is like what I wished I would have had. I mostly stayed there when I got older and I would visit home. Like I was there and I would visit home. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And like growing up, there was a lot of yelling. There was a lot of like what happens behind closed doors stays closed doors. Like it was not healthy, and I didn't realize that was unhealthy until I became an adult and started going to therapy. Um and it's still that way to this day. So like I really have tried to break a lot of like generational curses, I call it, of what their household was like and what I would like to model.
Mhm.
um but yeah, it was different. It wasn't the ideal, like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, it wasn't the ideal of, hey, like I can invite friends over and like we can stay here. Like my house was the house that I didn't invite people over to.
Like you didn't really like have friends over for sleepovers growing up. You would be the one going to someone's house for a sleepover.
Yeah.
And you probably
Either
loved going to
dad would.
sleepovers because it gave you an excuse to leave your house.
Right, right. And luckily one of my best friends lives down the street from me. So like my house was either my dad was embarrassingly like intoxicated, or my mom was just embarrassing and like rude and disrespectful, and like it just wasn't that welcoming home, and I kind of accepted that. So like anything I did as a kid like was not at my house. It was
Yeah.
always at a friend's house.
Now, when you say behind closed doors, is there anything that happened that you do want to talk about that you can think of?
It was just very toxic. Like I remember a lot of like law enforcement things coming to the house due to my dad's drinking, and like it was mostly my son's home, by the way. It was mostly my dad would get extremely drunk and he would do that to tolerate my mom. And unfortunately, that carried into just within like a few years ago. Um they can't stand each other. They're not happy, you know? So it's like for me, I've worked on myself enough to know that I couldn't stay in something like that. And
Yeah.
when I got clean and in recovery and left my abusive relationship of 7 years, I'm like, I could never go back to something that made me feel that way, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
But at the
exactly.
end of the day, it's their decision. And
Why do you think they stay together? Is it financial reasons? They depend on each other financially?
yes, I think that's exactly what it is. Like I said,
So
they
they're
don't even
roommates.
yeah,
They're
they don't even
roommates.
stay in the same room.
Yeah.
They can't stand each other half the time. Yeah, it's just they're roommates. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's their roommates. So
But they're still together to this day. So now seeing that, because we grew up around the same, we grew up not around, we grew up at the same time.
same time.
So I know what it was like for me growing up in the mid to late 90s and early 2000s. There's a lot of shit that happens because social media didn't exist, growing up until MySpace, what, like sophomore year? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like before sophomore year, there's really no social media.
Mhm.
Everything, would happen, and there's a lot of shit that happened with me. So, especially when like you seem like kind of like me, where like I would go out all the time. Like I was never at home. I was always
Mhm.
at somebody else's house. And it wasn't because I was embarrassed in my house. It was kind of the opposite, where like my parents were very nice and very welcoming. And I was that person who drank and smoked, and I couldn't do that at home. I had to go to the
Yeah,
other houses to get away with doing that.
for sure.
So that would get me into a lot of trouble with trauma and addiction. Um, Now, when you would start going out all the time, what were you mostly doing? Because, like, put yourself at like, I don't know, 12 years old. So 1998.
Oh man.
Yeah, exactly. What was Kim up to around that time?
Honestly, I was a good kid. Like I got good grades. I was in choir. I would be in the plays. I would hang around with people and whatnot. Like I went to school. I did what I had to do, and I came home. But like home was my toxic, you know? So like all that other stuff was like just a distraction from what I was going through.
No, you vape right now. I see that.
Yes.
Um, you
I didn't
smoked
get
cigarettes.
into
You
yeah, I
smoked
it,
cigarettes before you got into vaping, obviously.
of course, of course.
When did that start?
So like my senior year, like I remember us like going to little house parties and like we would get like a pack of black and milds and like
That's how I
smoke them.
started. Yeah.
We would get the pack of black and milds and like have our music up and like drive around and
No.
it was just that's what we did. Like and we were seniors in high school, so we're like we're untouchable. Like this is the
Yeah.
down climb, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. I felt that way too. Except for with me, I started smoking black and milds before cigarettes. I
Okay.
learned how to inhale with the black and mild.
Me too. Me
Like
too.
you're the only person who's ever said me too to that. Like
Yeah.
that's hilarious. But I learned
Yep.
how to inhale with the black and mild. I can tell you exactly where I was actually when I learned how to inhale. I can vividly remember it. On the railroad tracks, there was like woodsy kind of area, and we were like
Yeah.
up there, and yeah, that's where I learned how to inhale. My friend, he told me how.
Yes. Yeah.
And the same person that I started drinking with at 11 was the same person that taught me how to inhale at 13.
Yeah. It's like,
But
okay, this is what this is like
yeah,
coughing and like, okay, I actually took it in and blew it out. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I've been faking it the whole time.
your parents smoke?
My dad smokes. My mom does not. She's never touched a drink, a drug, a cigarette in her life that I'm aware of.
What was that like for you as somebody who is now clean and went through the whole rigmarole of like going down the road of like your dad? Did your mom almost resent you forever because you were turning into your dad?
Yeah, I always said I would not be like my dad, like and how he was embarrassing and like sometimes we even had to call like the ambulance, like for him to show up because he would be so drunk. He'd be on the floor and we couldn't get him up.
Yeah.
I always said I wouldn't be like that, but I was like that tenfold. Um, like I thought I could rap. I thought I thought like me being high, like on pills and shit, like I felt invincible, untouchable, like I was something that, like I never was really home after that. Like, and my mom, I know she was embarrassed of me, but at the same time, like I felt like she never understood me ever in my life.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like I'm never gonna meet this point of what she wants me to be. So I'm gonna be what I am.
Yeah.
Um,
You're gonna be your own person.
yeah. But now, so like, and I've talked about this before, like my mom's a narcissist. She's invalidated my feelings through my life. She has never questioned the fact that there's some trauma there. So like I live actively with being re-traumatized, but I'm still in therapy. So like what her perspective on life is not realistic. There is nothing she's done wrong. She's always had the best of intentions, which is not true. Um and like cannot admit to any fault of any sort. And even when okay, so can I get dark for a second?
Get as dark as you want. That's what this show is about.
Okay, so like when I was 21, new mom, I when I left my ex-husband, I went back to my parents' house because I had nowhere to go. I was pregnant, and after I had my son, I went back into running around and like not being a present mom and using pills like Percocets and stuff. And so like I would go home, and the one time I was really struggling, and I had mentioned that I wanted to end my life. And I told my mom about that. And do you know what she did? She laughed at me. And so my feelings were definitely invalidated. I don't think she thought I was serious. I very much was. I was in a dark place, and like I felt like I had nowhere to turn to. Um and so if I would have followed through with that, I think it would be a much different conversation. Um
Yeah, and that's the worst part, is she probably wouldn't even take that back or apologize for it to this day, it sounds like. Because she would say, "Well, you didn't do it." You know what I mean? Like I'm putting words in her mouth without even meeting her, but I'm pretty
no,
sure I'm right,
yeah, for
based on
sure.
what you told me so far. But the point is, I'm trying to make is in 2006, mental health had such a stigma around it, and no one even cared about mental health at all. To
People
talk
were
about
scared to talk about it. They were
to
scared to
talk
talk
about
about it.
suicide and say the
Yeah.
word suicide, it was almost like a joke. You know what I mean? Like because it was so under the covers, so like behind closed doors, like you said earlier.
Yeah. You don't
That
talk about it. And if you talk about it, it's within the household. And God
Yeah,
forbid anybody struggles.
yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah. It all has to just look fine on the outside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and mental, because I feel like the stigma is finally getting a little bit better in the last, like,
Yeah.
since
I
COVID.
agree.
Since
Mm-hmm.
COVID, I would say since COVID, the stigma is a little bit better around like mental health days from work, and being able to tell somebody like I'm just having a really hard day, a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression. You couldn't say the word depression and be taken seriously 10 years ago.
Right. Right. It was like, get over it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
and it's very hard. I'm not sure like about you. I know myself, I'm bipolar.
Mm-hmm. Me
You
too.
know, oh, you are? Are you
Bipolar one, manic depressive.
too?
Okay.
Um, but I also get a lot of mania. I get a lot of mania. That's kind of rooted in my depression. Like I will go through a stage of mania for 4 or 5 days, and where I'm up, up,
Uh-huh.
up, and then just oh my god, when it drops, holy shit! It's like a
Yeah.
roller coaster that goes straight down, and
Yep.
like I'll give you a perfect example, and then you can give me an example because I like
Yeah.
to make that my guests feel like they're not alone. Um, Early in December, I was manic going into my like December 5th was my 1 year clean.
Okay.
So
Okay.
going into that, that was on a Sunday, and right, is it Sunday? Wait, there's a whole point. No, 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 no. There's a whole point to what I'm getting at. I just need to get the days right,
No, you're good.
and it is December 5th was a Friday. So I was really manic. You know, that I would say Wednesday the 3rd, my mom's birthday. I was in mania. Not because it was her birthday, but I was just so like, all right, my 1 year, gotta get to my 1 year, gotta get to my
Mhm.
1 year. And then 1 year hits on that Friday, and Saturday, I'm still kind of riding that high a little bit. You know, I host an NA meeting on Saturday night, feeling good, feeling good. You know, it's always a really good meeting. I'm still a year clean. And then Sunday, my brother called me. I was at the hospital getting an MRI done on my feet, both of them. And as I was literally in the changing room to put on the gown to go get my MRI done, my brother called me and said his dog had a heart attack and died. And it was 7 years old. The brother just turned 7 earlier that week on my mom's
Yeah.
birthday. The dog turned 7. I helped pick this dog out with my brother. I lived with the dog as a puppy, and I love this dog, Gus. He was a golden retriever. He was big. He was a big dog. He was overweight, and that's why it was not. I hate to say, not surprisingly, he had a heart attack, but like it still sucks. But like I felt so many emotions from losing Gus,
Hmm.
that and then I went to go do my NA meeting that night, and a lot was going on. I wasn't going to do it. And then a lot started happening with other people that I host with in our home group, and the depression
Yeah.
hit. And
So
I
what did that
didn't,
look like for you?
the next day, I told my wife I was ready to kill myself. I didn't work. I called out the rest of the day that Monday and needed to be off, needed to lay in bed, needed to be alone and isolate. And I couldn't be around anybody. The only
Hmm.
people I was talking to was my wife and my best friend, which is my wife's best friend, and it's our best friend.
Yeah.
She's my wife's caretaker, so she's here 4 days a week. But all three of us met at the same time. Like my wife and I met her at the same time and became best friends 4 years ago. And they're the only two people I was talking to. And that was it.
Okay.
And my depression was bad for a solid 6, 7 days. Like it was so fucking bad. I couldn't do
Yeah.
anything for myself. I stopped posting episodes like on my shows. I stopped posting. I stopped looking for guests. I couldn't do anything. Like it was
Hmm.
just I had somebody cover my Thursday commitment because I couldn't talk. And that was still Thursday, 5 days, 4 or 5 days later. Um, so yeah, when my depression hits after a manic episode, it's a really dark place for me to be in. Um, so that's my example of a recent, event that I can recall of mania into depression. So what's yours
Yeah.
like?
So like I feel like mine now is as well managed as it could be. But like I definitely know the lows to where the point of, so like me being a one income household and like my son's a senior now in high school, like I knew that when I got him back from like being in my recovery that it was going to be a tough road but a possible road. So like with my lows it was like I can experience it for like a couple days, but I still was making myself go do what I had to do. Because if not, like then my bills aren't paid, my rent's not paid, and then I'm going to beat myself up even more.
Yeah.
Like the guilt already was like overbearing, but I I knew that by rising to the challenge of getting my son back in my custody, which was a battle from my own mother, I knew that it was going to come with challenges and that it was not going to be easy. So like I hit those lows, but like it's to a point of I let myself sit in it for a minute, but I think a lot of it is due to my mom invalidating my feelings when I was younger. Like, you can't feel that way. You're
Okay.
not allowed to feel that way. Like, your life is fine. Like, what are you so down about? And that still affects me today. Like I
Like you
question
hear her
myself.
voice in the back of your head all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like it still affects me, but God forbid she ever admit or acknowledge that,
When were you diagnosed?
with bipolar.
Yeah.
2010.
Oh, wow. So a long time ago. You were 23, 24 then, right? You were
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
23, 24 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And so because you've had a lot of health battles in your life, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So what are some things for the people that haven't seen you on the other episode for the other show? What happened first when you were younger?
So I was diagnosed with autoimmune at age 15. So I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. So then, like I said on the other episode, they at that time when I was 15, they put me on pain meds and they put me on Xanax to cope with the diagnosis. Crazy, right? So some pain meds to deal with the pain of the autoimmune, and then here's Xanax to deal with the fact that you have an autoimmune at the age of 15.
As opposed
Um,
to just giving you a therapist.
huh?
They should have just given you a therapist.
Something, someone,
Yeah.
other than just like here's this, here's that. Good luck to you.
Just throw pills at her.
Yeah, yeah. And so like at the time, like they had to get my mom's permission, like, hey, this is how we would like to treat her. Is that fine? And my mom saying, yeah, we trust you. You're the doctors. Like, do what you gotta do. And like, okay, So, but anyways, like I was diagnosed with that like very young. I ended up graduating high school. I graduated and then I did school like part-time. It didn't end up working out. I got married at a young age to someone that was a long distance boyfriend. And then moved across the country to Washington State where he was stationed with the Air Force. He had DV issues toward me while I was pregnant. So I flew back to Ohio and then finished out the rest of my pregnancy, had my son, which is now 17, a senior in high school. But the whole thing has just been crazy. Like
Yeah.
a lot of it led up to, and I can make those connections now and like traumatic situations, but some days I'm okay with coping with it, other days I'm not, and I kind of just take it as that.
Yeah. And I want to talk about that. Um, how did you meet a guy in the Air Force that's stationed all over the place?
Yeah, so he at the time we had talked for 3 years, long distance, so like on the phone or on I think MySpace was even still a thing then. I don't remember, but
MySpace was a thing until Facebook came out in like 2006 for us.
okay, so maybe it followed that.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't remember exactly, but we would talk on the phone and whatnot. And he was stationed. He wasn't in the Air Force yet. His dad was a master sergeant in the Air Force.
Okay.
So they were stationed down at Wright Patterson
Where's
and
that at?
living on the Wright Patterson is down by Dayton, Ohio.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
Air
It's in Ohio.
Force.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the Air Force base where like military families live. So
Okay.
I think a lot of like my ex-husband slash Bryson's father, I think a lot of that had to do with him like wanting to model what was modeled to him,
Yeah.
which was be in the military, be successful, like, but that all got cut short when he was caught in the military coming after me with a weapon while I was pregnant with his child.
Okay, I
So,
want to get into that next.
yeah,
But how
it's a
did you
lot.
meet?
It's a
How
lot.
did how did you meet this ex-husband? Was it online?
Mhm.
Like
Yep,
on a
I
social media or
Dayton.
like
Yep,
what?
yep. I went down to Dayton after we had talked for a few years online and on the phone and whatnot. And we got together and then we thought, okay, we don't want to be alone from each other. Let's just get married. That's what people in the military do, right?
And
Like,
he's
so
our
we
age.
did.
He's our age or
Yeah.
older?
Yeah. He's
Okay.
our age. He's our age. But like, it was one of those things where I was young and probably dumb. And like, we got married at like 20. And so like he was having to be stationed in Washington State over on the other side of the country.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, it's a good idea to just get married. Like, let's just get married so we can be with each other every single day, you know? And so we did that. But also, I was removed from anyone and anything I ever knew.
You're
So I
completely
went to,
isolated. You're in a brand
yeah,
new state. You don't know
mhm,
anybody,
exactly.
and you don't have friends out there. You have no family out there. He's doing his Air Force shit, so he's going to be busy a lot. And then it's just you in the house all day at 20 years old.
And
And
he was in the mental health field. Let me just preface that. He was in the mental health field and got kicked out of the Air Force due to what he did to me.
okay, and we're gonna get to that still, but
It's
were
a
you?
lot to unpack.
I'm trying to unpack it one one thing at a time. You're getting ahead of me. I'm
I'm
trying to
sorry. That's my
walk up there.
ADHD.
I
It's
know it's
okay.
fine. We're gonna get there. Don't worry. Were you in addiction during this time?
Nope.
Okay. You weren't taking anything for the Crohn's. You weren't taking Xanax or any kind of pain pills.
Nope. I wasn't really in the hospital and I wasn't really having any type of flare ups, which can be caused by stress. So, like, I was maintaining at that time.
Did you find a job out there?
I did some modeling gigs out there. Um, because at the time I thought, like, hey, let me build a portfolio and find something to do. We were living on the base, the Air Force Base
Yeah.
in Washington. So he went to work, he came home. I was stuck at the house and I was kind of going crazy. So I was kind of
Yeah.
trying to just do what I could.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to like figure out. Like what was your daily day like while he's at work before you got pregnant? This is before you got pregnant.
Hmm.
Um, did you get when you got married, was it like you got hitched, like just you and him at the courthouse?
No,
Or
it was
you
a
had like a
small
proper
wedding though.
wedding?
It
Okay.
was a small wedding though. It was here in Tiffin in Ohio, and his mom and dad were there. His sister was there. I had a minimal wedding party. Like, it was kind of just like, hey, let's get this done. And then I packed up and I moved over to Washington State where he was stationed, and we got military housing, and that was that.
Because you probably couldn't live together on a military base if you weren't married and just his girlfriend,
Correct.
correct? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and you figured the Air Force, we don't have to pay for housing really, and we'll be able to live there. You don't have to work because our bills will be minimal.
Right.
And I'm trying to put all this together as logic in 2006.
Yeah.
What was going on in your head in 2006, Kim. Um,
Good luck.
and yeah, were you drinking?
So before I found out I was pregnant, I did start drinking. We would go
Yeah,
to like the bowling alley with like other people from the Air Force and their families, and then I had found out that I was pregnant. And so like in the military, at least in the Air Force and on the base, like living, like you were encouraged to have kids at a young age and have a
yeah.
family, and that was normal, like there was no wait time. Like, that's what you did. And
Were you
so
were you smoking cigarettes also before you got pregnant?
no, I was
No.
not. I was not at all, because he didn't do any of that. So I kind of like
Okay.
fit to his mold.
I'm trying to like just put together like your daily day of going stir crazy because you can't doom scroll in 2006.
Right,
You
right,
know what I mean? You can't just
right.
scroll.
Yep.
Life was so much different back then. It was, putting on the TV or putting on a movie on DVD. And,
Mhm.
when DVDs existed, I never thought I would say when DVDs existed,
Right?
like we thought that was the end all be all when DVDs came out. Like, this
Yes.
is it. Nothing's going to change this. This is the best.
Yeah.
And then streaming was like,
It
see you
was very
DVDs.
it was very minimal. I think the only thing I really got into at that point when I was over on another state Air Force base was like Pampered Chef. Like I remember my friend sending me an invite for Pampered Chef and she did Pampered Chef and I'm like, "Oh my god, I got all these new kitchen utensils." And wow, like that was my connection to people. That's
Yeah,
sad. That
yeah,
is sad.
yeah. Oh my God. Okay. So you get pregnant. How old are you? 21, 22?
I was 20
You were 20 when so you got pregnant pretty quickly then.
pretty quickly, yes.
And you were happy
And
that
we
you got
were
pregnant.
trying. We were
You were
trying.
trying. Oh, you were trying. Okay. Okay. You were trying to get pregnant and successful.
Yes.
Um, I'm just curious because with Crohn's and autoimmune, how long did it take when you decided to start trying to actually get pregnant? Was it quickly?
It was pretty quickly. Yeah. I felt like
Okay.
my autoimmune was in remission. And like I said, a lot of the pressure was from being like an Air Force wife and being on the base. And a lot of people start families very young. And so we kind of followed that.
Yeah.
But
I guess
yeah,
it's easier to get pregnant at 20 than it is nowadays. Like,
for
at your
sure.
older age, yeah.
For sure.
In our old age, Kim.
Yes.
So you got pregnant and you're both happy that you got pregnant. Was there any DV issues before you got pregnant?
No.
No, okay. Where did that start? How long into your pregnancy do you remember the first DV issue and what was it? What happened?
So, from what I understood, with his job being in a mental health role, he would come home and he would, I don't know if he was unhappy, like it was like affecting him, or he was disappointed, or he had anger from like what he did for that day, but it got taken out on me.
In what way?
So, mhm.
No, in what way though?
In what way?
Yeah.
There was a lot of arguments. There was a lot of fights. There was a lot of, and before it got physical, the only time it got physical was really when I was pregnant and he kind of came after me. I feel like we had a disagreement of some sort and he knew I was pregnant, obviously. And he came after me with a knife. And this was on military housing. In one of their houses. And so, like, he obviously had to report to certain sergeants and this, that, and the other. And so, as soon as that happened, I remember walking out of the military house and being on the curb outside and calling my parents and like, hey, he just came after me. Like, I'm scared for my life. I'm scared for my child's life. And so, like, I had a plane flight within 24 hours to get on there and get out of there. And then after that, I had his master sergeant calling me, like, hey, what happened? And so I told him. And so that's kind of what led to him getting discharged from the military. They don't tolerate that at all.
Yeah. No, okay. So how long had you guys been from, you talked for 3 years online, on the phone and online. Um, and then you met finally. You went down to
Mhm.
the base, you met, and from that day of meeting into you leaving, how long was it? Like you meet, you get married, you get pregnant, he hits you hits you and chases you with a knife.
Mhm.
What's that time span like? Months, year, 2 years?
Maybe a year. It happened
Okay.
pretty quickly in the matter of a year. Once I was over there away from everyone and everything, and then I was pregnant. So,
You didn't
um,
have time to really learn what happened if you set him off.
right.
And at that age, anything it was different back then,
It was.
and what when you say he worked in mental health field, what do you mean exactly?
He was like a counselor in the military field. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Was he qualified to be a counselor at 20 years old for people?
I doubt
That,
it.
like that
Consider,
doesn't check out to me.
yeah,
Like, why
no,
why are you a counselor, bro? You don't have any life experience.
no, none. And like, I don't know what the military qualifications are, but it's like the
Yeah,
field he chose at the time. So, but like he would bring like me working in the field I'm in now, like he
yeah,
would take what he went through or what he heard during his day and like almost hold it in. And then when he got home, I got the effect of that
yeah,
with no like warning, no information, like I know how to regulate being in the field that I'm in, but like he totally I don't think he was happy for one in what he was doing. For two, I don't think he was qualified because most people know that you don't take that stuff home.
bring
You
it home.
leave it where it is
Yeah,
or else it will bleed into your life,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. Because without giving too much, like you work in the addiction field, recovery field, and I feel like you're qualified for that because you have lived life experience.
Yeah.
When it comes to addiction and trauma and recovery, and where you can say to somebody, I know how you feel because I did this, and that, which is similar to you doing this, and that,
Exactly. Exactly.
and it doesn't make sense that a 20-year-old, he's never been put in that position, you know, maybe at 30,
Right.
but he needs a lot more school.
It's one of those things of you can't tell me about what I'm going through because you don't get it type of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have, if I was in my late 20s or 30s and you're sending me to a counselor and it's this punk 20-year-old kid, I'm going to make him feel bad about his life on purpose, you
Which
know?
I think is probably what was happening. And then in turn, he made me feel bad, you know,
Hmm.
like, and he even blamed me for him getting kicked out of the military. That was a big problem of why he said his excuse was for when our son was born, Bryson,
Hmm.
of him not being present. Is because he had a resentment towards me because his sergeant called me and asked what happened, and I told him.
Yeah,
Like,
why would, yeah.
yeah,
I'm not going to cover for you, dude. You chased me with a
no,
knife a week ago. I'm not going to cover for
right,
you.
exactly.
And I believe that's called the chain of screaming. What would
Yeah,
happen is it takes you like, what happens at work, you take home and you take it out and it gets it's a chain of screaming.
yeah,
Um, and I have a stressful job, but I can never imagine, like, I work from home, but I can't imagine walking out of my office and then in turn making my wife try to feel bad based on the patients and I work in healthcare.
yep,
I schedule people all day long for like orthopedics who are in a lot of pain. They're hurting, they broke something, they fractured or tore something, and I get yelled at a lot by those patients. And it's not like I all of a sudden start yelling at my wife or kid because I got yelled at all day. Like, I just take it. I'm like, all right. Like, I actually last week some lady was yelling at me, and she kept talking over me when I was trying to help her, and I started laughing. Like, when she started cursing at me, when a patient curses at you, you're allowed to hang up on them.
yeah.
You're not allowed to scream back at them. You're not allowed to curse back at them. But no one ever told me you can't laugh at them.
Okay.
So I literally laughed. I went and like loudly. And she said, are you laughing at me? Are you fucking laughing at me? I went, yup. And like I just started to giggle. I hope they record these phone calls. Oh, they sure do. Like, that's the kind of thing that I do so that it doesn't affect me. You know what I mean? Like, I've been here 4 years, and at first it would really upset me and bother me and get me all riled up.
Yeah,
But 4 years in, I know how to handle you, bro. Like, you're not going to affect my
yeah,
day or ruin my day. I'm
You
gonna
have
talk
to
to.
learn patience and tolerance. And
Yeah,
and that's the thing. If you don't, you are going to take that home with you and you are still going
yeah,
to be frustrated, and that's the outlet, and it's just not
yeah,
good. Not good for
yeah.
anybody.
No, no, it's not. It's not good for me. It's not good for my wife. It's not good for my 11-year-old. But then again, I talk about patience in recovery all the fucking time. It's, one of the things when I relapsed last November 2024, I came back and I admitted it to my home group that was based out of Rhode Island at noon. I was like, sorry, but I've been coming here high for the last 2 weeks, coming to the
Hmm.
meetings and right away I was sharing about I just need to be patient. I'll get my time back. I just need to be patient. I'm not going to be a year clean tomorrow. It's just another day. Need to be patient,
Yeah.
and I'm very big on having patience and trying to, teach patience because it's a very big tool that you should and need to have because it can affect everybody when you're an impatient person,
Hmm.
you know.
Yep.
Um, the one thing I can say that I'm not patient about is when I get somebody a gift. I have to give it to you. I have
Me
to.
too. I'm horrible with it.
I'm
I'm
not gonna.
so excited.
Yeah, I know. I know. I have to. I have to do it. Like I can't.
I'm
Um,
glad I'm not the only one.
no. My wife and I, our anniversary was Thanksgiving. Our 5-year wedding anniversary was this last Thanksgiving, and my wife's birthday is December 12th, and then Christmas. So
Hmm.
I had our anniversary, and then 2 weeks later, their birthday, and then 2 weeks later, Christmas.
Yep.
And I had just gotten like a K Jewelers credit card, like on
Okay.
for this reason,
Yeah.
and I got their anniversary gift, birthday present, and Christmas present all with that card, and they all came in the mail at the same time.
Oh man.
And so within a week of each other, they all came in the mail. So I was like, all right, here's your anniversary gift. All right, here's your birthday gift. Like, and then again, everything got early.
I can't. I have a hard time with that because I get so excited and I'm like,
Yeah,
I did this for you. Here, take it.
yeah,
Like this.
I know. Or even like I'll have to show a picture of it. Like it's coming in the mail Wednesday. Like
Yeah,
here's everything. Like I can't do it. I can't.
I'm the same way. I don't know if
But I'm a
that's
very
like
patient person with
gratification
like
popping up or what.
yeah. But like with my 11-year-old and my wife and everybody, I'm a very patient person, and because I have no control over your actions and your
Hmm.
feelings. Um, how does that work for you with having a teenager and having to have patience and how is that going for you as a single mom that's a working mom with one income? How is it having a senior in high school at home?
It's tough.
Yeah.
No, like when I got custody back of him a few years ago, full custody, something I worked really hard to get.
And I want to get into
Um,
that too, by the way. But yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So like there was a lot of therapy. There was a lot of like I knew I wanted to model exactly what I didn't have, which is validating his feelings, listening to him, letting him come to me for the even bad decisions he makes, and just keeping like that open dialogue. Because for me, it's like there's so many statistics out there of people that hold things in, right? So
Yeah.
like it's I didn't want him to have to whatever he was going through suffer in silence. I
Mhm,
wanted to be that safe place, and I feel like
mhm.
we've created that. But like he's thriving. I mean, he's got a job now. He's got his license. He's an AB student about to graduate, goes to a trade school half the day, and then goes to his high school. So, like, it couldn't have ended up better than it is. Like, he's literally thriving. And
That's
so,
amazing. And
yeah,
that's hats off to you though,
yeah,
because that wouldn't happen, with
I was very proactive with it.
yeah. Now you said therapy. Um, we got our son into therapy at 9.
Hmm.
Have you ever thought about that or that ever happened? Did you
Yeah.
encourage that?
Yeah, we he was doing like counseling and whatnot, but like for whatever reason, like the counselors at first, they weren't clicking with him and therefore he wouldn't open up. So like he was
Yeah.
resistant to it. But then finally in the past few years, he's set up with someone that he feels okay and is
Mhm.
accepting to go talk to. And I
Yeah,
knew it was going to be a process with
it
me
is.
having full custody, and I knew he was going to have to adapt. And I knew he probably had a lot of feelings, maybe resentment towards me and
Yeah.
things like that, that he needed to get out to someone safe and not feel like I have to, whatever. So, like, that was really helpful. Like, I was okay with the fact that whatever he was going through or whatever he felt because of me being in active addiction for as long and not getting him back till later in life, I knew that he needed to have someone to be able to vent that out to. And I don't need to know. That's for him. It's
Yeah.
not for me, you
Yeah.
know?
And I agree completely because obviously, because we got our kid in the counseling at 9, when my dad died and he started asking questions about death and all this, and we're like, we know what to do. We're very big on counseling and therapy, you know what I mean? How important it can be because,
Yeah.
you know, number one, we're not going to have all the answers,
Right.
and, and neither is the therapist, but it's about having someone safe for them to go to that they can talk to about things that they're uncomfortable talking to us about.
Yep.
And I was asking you because you're a single mom, but I knew that you believed in it too, because other parents that could be watching raising little kids, like when stuff starts happening, don't feel ashamed to have your kid there. I
Yeah.
think a lot of parents know that their kids should be in therapy or in counseling or whatever you want to call it, but they're afraid that they'll be judged because of what they're doing in there. Like, oh, your kid's in counseling, that's what that's are you not successful as a
People
parent?
might, yeah, people might take it as a failure. And for
Exactly.
me, it's like I already was, in my opinion, kind of failed due to my
Yeah.
addiction. So I knew that like we had to build a strong foundation of
Hmm.
some sort. And whatever that meant, I was open to and wanted him to be open to. Because, like
Yeah.
I said, before I got custody back, he was with my parents. And
And you
so
know
that
how
was
that
like,
is.
yeah, and that was my trauma, like feeling
Hmm.
validated, just not good. So I already knew, and I was up for the challenge. I'm like, whoever can be an outlet for him to speak and feel how he wants to is none of my business. Because at the end of the day, I want him to be his best self, not what
Yeah.
I want him to be or what he
Yeah.
should be, like that stuff really affects people.
Hmm. And exactly like you said, that the stigma is that you're perceived as a failure if your kid's in counseling.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, if your kid's in counseling, you are a winner because you're strong enough and, have the ability to be like, push your ego aside, really, and be humble and be like, no, my kid's in counseling. Like, he should be. Everyone should be. You should
Yeah.
be,
Right. Life
everyone should
changing.
be.
Yeah.
And nowadays, that you can do everything on Zoom, with counselors, and it's a lot easier to get a therapist. Then there really isn't an excuse.
Right, exactly. It's at the palm of your hand,
Yeah,
Like but the thing is, like the stigma has come a long way, luckily.
yeah,
But
luckily,
for me personally, like I still have a therapist that's like on deck. Like I still go
yeah,
through things like
yeah,
and sometimes I don't know how to get out of it, and
yeah.
that's where I need that guidance. Like I have no shame in that. And I mean, it's really different with like diversity and culture. Like some cultures still look at it as
It is.
weakness.
Yes,
But like for me and for my son, it's been life changing.
it
Like
is.
life changing.
Hmm. Yeah, for me, it is too because you know I need to have a safe space that I can talk to about things in my head without having
Yeah.
to overwhelm my wife. or like my best friend, you know, where like I can be like, okay, this is happening in my head, this, you know, and get stuff off my chest. And because sometimes if I would tell my wife things, they could take it personal,
Yeah.
you know, like they did something wrong. And
Right.
I can't control their reactions and I can't control your feelings. Your feelings are valid and they're yours to have, and I
Yep.
can't control them.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some things that pop up in my head that I shouldn't talk to my wife about this because they might take it personal, you know, and I'd rather talk to Kristen, you know, my
Yeah.
therapist, about it, where she can kind of, you know, be like, you could do this or that, and like give me some guidance, like you said, um, to put me back on track without my wife ever having to feel like any kind of personal responsibility, you know, to what um the only thing I did wrong with the therapist is in couples counseling. I will admit to this. I almost left my wife back in August.
Okay.
Um, I found an apartment. I said
Hang on
yes
one
to it.
second.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm on a podcast right now. Can you be quiet?
I I found an apartment in town. I looked at it. I got approved for it. I gave them first month rent. I put a down payment on it.
Okay.
And then I sat down for couples therapy and I said, I'm gonna leave. I'm leaving. And that's how my wife found out.
Oh my.
I should have talked to my wife first and then we could have talked about it in therapy.
Yeah.
But I was in my head like, I think I want a third party there to kind of referee what was about to happen.
I probably would have done the same thing.
And I thought I did the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
I probably should have had that morning, you know, just one on one, you know, but you know, because of how my wife reacted. Um, and I mean, I changed my mind ultimately. You know, I decided not to. Obviously, I'm still here.
Yeah.
And I changed my mind 3 days before leaving, and you know, lost the money on the apartment. You know what I mean? Because like
So
it's
you
a,
put like a deposit down or
yeah,
something?
yeah, $1,300 down.
Wow.
Yeah, and yeah, so that money was lost. They wouldn't give it back to me. But you know, what happened was I was moving on a Thursday, and already paid for the. I didn't pay for the movers, but I hired the movers. Ironically, they were the same movers that moved us into this place we're in now. They live a floor below us, actually.
Oh my
Like
God.
it just happened to be that way. We hired movers to move in here. And they're like, do you know where it's at? And they're like, yeah, we live on the first floor of your building. We know exactly where it's at. And yeah, I see them all the time. I smoke cigarettes outside. I see them all the time.
That's
And
funny.
so I set up for them to be my movers. And I took a loan from my 401k so that I could have money for like furniture and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And the money hit on a Monday, and I was moving that Thursday, and it was around noon. And when the money hit, the first thing that came into my head subconsciously was, "Oh my God, this is gonna be great for us so much." And I said, "Us, not me." And when I said us, I'm like, I need to think more about this. Why did I just say us? Why didn't I say me? And ultimately, I decided to stay. First, I didn't just decide, like, hey, I'm staying. I talked to my wife, say, hey, if I said I would want to stay, would you want me to stay? You know, kind of deal. And we talked it over and worked it out. And, you know, we've been better than ever lately.
That's good.
Yeah. Every night we do this thing because our therapist said you need to take more time. My wife does recovery dharma for their addiction. You know,
Okay.
they're an
Yeah.
alcoholic. And, you know, I do NA. And we always have meetings at night around 9 o'clock. and we do our recovery separately, which works for us really well. I'm not on top of their recovery, they're not on top of mine,
Right.
which is good. It's a very healthy thing.
Yeah.
And after the meetings, we used to just like get in bed and just scroll on our phones. You know what I mean?
Didn't scroll.
Yeah, and just like not even talk.
Yeah.
And then we started. Our therapist said, "You guys need to find time to like spend together, just you two." And one day, my wife started watching SVU when I was doing other stuff, and like I was like, I happened to sit down and catch half of an episode. I was like, I gotta go, but can you pause this and watch this later? And ever since then, every single night for a couple months now, we put our phones on do not disturb and we put them aside. And when we're done our meetings, kids in bed, all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll watch 1 or 2 episodes depending on how tired we are. And that's how. And then my wife will go to sleep, and I'm an insomniac, so then I'm awake for the rest. But yeah, that's what we do every night. They like spend time together.
That's
Is for
nice
us.
though, because that's for y'all, like
Yeah, and we talk during
it's a
it.
lot.
Like, what do you think it is? Who do you think it? When we're talking throughout it, and we
Yeah.
pause it all the time to say, "Did you see that? We got to rewind it." Like, and it's definitely been really good for us to like just have
Good.
time. Our cat doesn't like it. Our new kitten doesn't like it.
You have a new
Um,
kitten?
yeah, his name's Butters, and he's amazing. Yeah, I'll show you a picture because I have plenty of them already.
I have my 2 cats. I'm definitely, my son says I'm a cat lady. So
We have Scuba and Diver also. This is our third. Scuba and Diver are brother and sister from the same litter, and they're 5. And this is Butters. He's an orange cat.
oh my gosh. He's a what?
He's orange. He's a
Orange.
ginger.
Oh, I heard orange cats are like crazy.
They're crazy. You're crazy. And he's amazing. So, like a good example, how funny he is. Most of the time, we'll like hold hands while we're watching SVU together. And he's like 5 months old. And he'll jump up into bed and start biting our hands when we're holding hands. So then we'll stop and he'll get between us, almost like refereeing us. And then if we go to hold hands again, he'll start biting and scratching our hands again.
Yeah, it's like a toddler.
Yeah. He's Butters, named after Butters on my wall,
Yes.
South Park.
Yes.
And if you know did you ever watch South Park? Did you ever get into it?
Yep.
You know how Professor Chaos is Butters' alter ego?
Yes.
Well, whenever Butters is crazy, we start calling him
That's
Professor.
what you call him? Yes.
We call him Professor.
That's great.
It was Professor Chaos, but then it's too many words to say out loud. So we just shortened it to Professor, like, Professor, stop it. Prof. I'll call him
Calm
Prof
down.
Yeah. He is crazy, but I let him be in here while I work, and he just runs in and out, and he's so funny, though. I love him.
Zoomies.
What?
They get the zoomies.
Oh my God. On it times a million when they're 6 months old, 5 months old. Like,
Yeah.
we got our cats when they were 1 year old, and they had already had some trauma. They were rescues, and they're very reclusive still to this day. You can't hold them, like.
Yeah.
Scuba, the girl cat, will lay on top of my wife when my wife's watching TV, but only my wife can do that with Scuba. And Plops, Diver, we have Scuba and Diver, and that are their names, Scuba and Diver. And Diver is very chunky. So when I say very, I mean he's 23 pounds.
Oh,
And
wow.
I know. And so now I started calling him. Now we all call him Plops because he just plops down on things.
Yeah.
And he sleeps on top of us every night. So imagine sleeping with a 23-pound weight on your back. That's what that's like. He goes back and forth between both of us. He'll be on top of me, sleeping and snoring for like an hour, and then go to my wife, and then back to me, and then that's what he does.
That's
but we
shared
can never
parenting.
hold either of them. Yeah.
Shared parenting.
But we can never hold either of them. Butters loves to be held, like
Yeah.
complete opposite. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, back to your stuff. So you come back, you have Bryson, and you're living with your parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what was going on.
Yeah.
And how long after you gave birth did you get into addiction?
Okay.
Did you have a flare up or something? Like what was
I
it that put you back
did.
into
I
addiction?
did. I did. I was in the hospital for 60 days. I had to have a surgery and they took 2.5 feet of my small intestine. They had me hooked up on IV Dilaudid. Um,
Damn.
and this was 60 days.
That
60
is a
days.
lot of fucking Dilaudid.
Yeah, I saw my
With
son
your
take
own button and
first.
everything? Like with your own
Mhm.
button?
Yep. I saw my son take his first steps because my mom brought him up there to the hospital. I saw him take his first steps in the hospital. So I was recovering, and then I went home, and they, of course, sent me home with a bunch of pain meds, fentanyl patches, perks, Xanax, like everything. Um,
You didn't stand a chance.
that's where my addiction started.
You didn't stand a chance.
Hmm.
You did not stand a chance.
No,
You didn't stand a chance.
it wasn't gonna happen. Like before I even knew what addiction would or could be, my body was. So
And this was the mid to late 2000s. This is the what,
this was
2007,
late 2000.
2008?
Yeah, this was late 2000s. This was around like 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
Um, man, that surgery threw me for a loop because they had me on such strong narcotics. And then I became septic while I was in the hospital. So I'd have a blood transfusion. So they kept me even longer. And so that whole time, like every 4 to 6 hours, I was on a button for Dilaudid. Like, and of course, we know Dilaudid is way stronger than any of the other freaking other opiates.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
when I went
It's a step
home,
below. It's a step below fentanyl.
yeah,
It's way more
like
stronger than oxy and morphine and
yeah.
you know.
But at the time, like they're like, oh, this is what we have to do, and it was wild. I literally remember getting sent home with like all these fentanyl patches, and then right after that is when I really got into my addiction from getting stuff off the streets because I realized that my fentanyl patches hold value and
Yeah.
people buy them. So like that's what I did. And then I remember my very first time of snorting a pill. My friend, who has now passed away from his addiction, my friend, what we were in the McDonald's drive-through, and he's like, "Oh, you have a prescription for Percocet? Like, it's better if you snort it." And I'm like, "What do you mean snort it?" And so, like, we're sitting there in the drive-through, and he's like, it was on like a DVD case, okay?
They always were. Yeah, they always yeah.
And so he has it crushed down and whatnot. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm never taking these as normal again. Like, and
No.
that's where it started. That's where it
Yep.
started.
Yep. Yeah, I
Crazy.
same, it wasn't in McDonald's drive-through, but it wasn't but after I snorted something for the first time, an oxy for the first time, why am I ever going to swallow an oxy ever again?
Right.
Why? That's ridiculous. I'm going to lose it. Not going to get as much out of it. That's
Right.
ridiculous.
Right.
But in reality, it would have lasted longer in my system, in my body, like the high would have had a longer effect if I would have just eaten it like you're meant
Yep.
to.
Yep.
But when you snort it and you're an addict, you're like, I don't want to fucking wait a half an hour for this thing to kick in. I got 5 minutes, baby. Let's go. Like, give it to
Yes.
me.
Exactly.
Um, and and I was addicted to snorting. I was addicted to snorting.
So was
The only
I.
thing, I never snorted really, maybe twice was Xanax,
Mm,
and that's
I
because
did.
Xanax. I did it like twice.
I did.
But
Bad. It was bad.
it actually hits you faster when you swallow it. It hits you faster when you swallow Xanax. and I hated the taste of it. The drip from Xanax was nasty.
Yeah, it was
So
no
that's why,
bueno.
yeah, I never liked it. But Valium, Xanax's little brother, I did like the drip from, and it actually does have you can use it through your nostrils and actually have a good effect from it.
Yeah.
Because I was addicted to Ativan when my dad died. I got Ativan. I manipulated my psychiatrist into give me Ativan, and then I abused them for like 6 months. And then I told my psychiatrist, these aren't strong enough. This isn't working. Hoping he would give me Xanax. That was my end goal, was getting Xanax
Yeah.
from him. Then he gave me Valium. And I never really fucked with Valium before. And I was kind of liking it. Not kind of, I was liking it. And then, I started doing some, researching. And I was like, can you snort Valium? Google. And I went to the Wikipedia page for Valium. And have you ever looked up drugs on Wikipedia? And
I have done the pill identifier.
I love the pill identifier. I always used to be all over that for the
Yeah,
30s.
me too.
Like, is this one Percocet, an oxycodone
Yep.
30?
Yep.
Yeah.
Does it have
Well,
Tylenol in it? Does it not?
yeah. Well, when I went to the Valium on Wikipedia, and it said method of use, and one of them was intranasal. I'm like, bingo.
Bet.
Yeah. Where is something I can crush it with?
Give me a straw.
Well, I was so, when I was in my opiate addiction through like the 2010s, especially, my car, especially at the end, the last couple of years of my addiction were really bad. In like 2016, 17, 18. Because I stopped taking opiates in April 2018 when I got clean the first time. And at that time, I had like straws like this, like a stack of them in my center console. And because I was driving, 4 hours round trip to get my pills every day. Not every
I
day.
remember you telling me before the trick you did. I remember
Yeah.
that.
And that's why, because like I had to, because I was always driving. And I broke too many CD cases in my day because I could never not break a CD case when I was trying to, crush it on the CD case. The case is crushing it. Like, I don't know how people did that. So let me ask you this. When did you lose custody then of Bryson? If once you started getting high, like you had a flare up, you were in the hospital, and then you come home from the hospital after months of being in there, you're already, I'm sure, physically dependent on pain meds when you get home because of how much, like, we're addicts, Kim. I guarantee you were smacking that button all day long of Dilaudid.
Yeah. As much as you could.
Yeah.
Like he was 2 or 3 when I lost custody. I ended up, and like I'm an open book, but
Yeah, what happened? Yeah, tell me what happened.
yeah, I ended up losing custody because I was under the influence, and he was a toddler, 2 or 3, and he ended up I was staying at a friend's house, and all we did was get high. And so like he had walked out of the front doors of the house, and so therefore I got a child endangerment, and they called my mom, and that's when she, they drug tested me, and of course like I was dirty for things other than what I was supposed to be taking.
Prescribed for, yeah.
Yeah, and so she got him, and then at that point I then justified that situation to be my excuse to say fuck it.
I'm going to get
I'm
more
gonna
high. Yeah.
So I threw myself a pity party for the situation I was in.
So you and him were you were at a friend's house with him, with you, while you were getting high, and that's when he was just being a toddler and like, hey, I'm gonna go explore outside.
Yeah.
And you weren't paying attention.
I was zooted. I was gone.
I'm not judging. I'm just trying to
No,
place
you're
it all
good.
together.
You're good.
Yeah. Did you and him live alone at the time? Were you living with your parents?
We were technically, our home base was my parents, but because of my addiction, I was staying at a friend who also had an addiction and her parents' house. And that's when that all went down. Like it
Gotcha.
was
Okay.
insane.
Well, yeah, when you're in addiction, all your friends are addicts. Like nobody that's a regular normie wants to hang out
Right.
with somebody that's in the middle of their addiction or
Yeah.
beginning of their addiction. It's
There's
not
nothing
cute.
in common. Yeah.
No, no, they want to do other things, and you're like, I just want to sit here and get high.
Yep.
Why do you want to go out? I don't want to go out. I want to sit here and be high.
Yeah.
Like,
And I
like
was like, I had the supply,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, you did.
and
Yeah,
my
and
autoimmune.
were you what?
Because of my autoimmune, I had the
Yeah,
supply. So of
and
course my friend was like, hey, you can stay here.
yeah, because you
Like,
had the bottle. You have the bottle as opposed to saving money going on the streets.
yep.
And when you have when you get that new script, oh my God. I remember those days because I had a doctor when I was from doctor shopping. And like the first time I sat down, he was like, so what do you want? I'm like, what? He's like, what do you want? I'm like, 120, 30 milligram oxy and 2 milligrams Xanax. All right. See you in 28 days.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
okay. And then they fill it at CVS or Walgreens or whatever. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I can't believe this is it was like Home Alone 2 when he uses the credit card. He's like, oh my God, it worked. Like that's how I felt. Walmart
Yeah.
pharmacy script
Yeah.
filled. And then I get in the car, I'm like looking at the bottom, like, there's 120 of these, and they're mine. And then they're gone in 4 days.
Yeah. And then
You
it's like,
know,
oh my God, I lost my prescription or someone took it and I need more.
that works one time, by the way. That only works one time. I this is, I don't think I've ever admitted this on a podcast. I mean, I wonder if statute limitations on it. When was it? Okay, it's been over 10 years. I'm good, probably. I may or may not have staged a fake robbery at a house I was staying.
Yeah.
And, my pills were in there for it to be on a police report to get new scripts.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's a
Stole
whole
some jewelry.
process.
Stole
It's a
some
whole
jewelry.
process. Yeah, lots of papers.
Stole some jewelry from the person I was living with, my
Yeah.
roommates that I was living with, feel horrible about that because she was letting me live there basically for free and just was extremely nice to me and stole jewelry from her and, stole my prescriptions and,
The audacity.
and I let her come home to find everything. So
Yeah.
she called it in.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came home when the cops were like, what's going on? Oh my God, we got robbed. Oh my God, my pill bottles are gone.
What am I gonna do?
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
it was, and it was like a Sunday. And like all I had to do was go to the hospital, to the ER, and show them a police report, and they gave me enough pills to last me until my doctor wrote me new scripts.
Yep. Sounds about right.
So fucked up. So
Yeah.
fucked up. I still feel horrible about that. And that was like 2013,
Yeah.
maybe 2014.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not good with years with that one. That was a long, time ago. I can't believe how long ago that was. We're getting old, Kim.
I know.
So now you lose Bryson. We're back on track. You lose Bryson. We're almost there. We're almost caught up. We'll be an hour and 20 minutes into this. Okay, you lose Bryson. How long did you stay in addiction after you lost him?
I would say a good solid 10 years.
10 years you stayed in addiction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Where were you living?
I stopped finding reasons to be home because I felt like the battle was already lost when he got taken due to my actions. I stopped finding reasons to stay home and I continued to find reasons to not be home.
So you were technically living at your parents' house at the time.
Mm-hmm. That was
where
home
he
base.
was. What's that?
That was home base.
Okay, yeah. but you weren't there a lot.
No.
Where would you stay?
Friends' houses, they would be also having the same addiction, and that's like we would stay up all night doing pills and then sleep during the day, and
Yeah.
anything else besides that was extra.
Yeah. And then you'd occasionally go home to like do laundry and get a shower.
Yeah.
See Bryson
Mm-hmm. Until I was gone again. Yeah.
until you were gone again. Would your mom or dad say anything to you about like because like
Um,
your dad was still drinking at the time because if he just got sober, that means he was still drinking when this was going on, right?
yeah, he was. And so basically it was my mom. But she always had like an open door for me to come home when I needed to.
Does that feel that? Do you feel that that kind of hurt you in a sense that you stayed in addiction longer because you knew you always had a safety net?
Right. Yeah. I didn't really have like a full consequence of like my mom was one of those people that would never put me out. Like,
Yeah. You were hungry, you go home. You needed to
mhm.
sleep it off, you go home. Get a
Yep.
shower, do laundry, see your kid,
Hmm.
you just go home.
Yep.
And I feel like that would keep me in addiction longer because I'm being validated.
Yeah. Yep.
Would she ever make you feel
Backup
bad
plan.
though?
Yeah.
Would
I
she ever
always had a
make you?
backup plan.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I move so often because I always knew I could go home again. You
Hmm.
know, did she ever like berate you when you would come home? Like, where have you been? Like, did you ever have to like worry about what she's gonna say when you walk in the door again?
Yeah. But like at the same time, I think that, God, that's hard to answer. Like I dealt with some bullshit, but at the same time, like I barely was there. So when I was, I feel like my mom was kind of like, oh, like, hey, embracing me to be back there for however long. And
Hmm.
yeah.
Only reason I was asking that is because how you were growing up, where it was a very toxic atmosphere. But it sounds like you didn't have that toxicity as much when you would go home while you were in addiction.
Either that or I just didn't care as much and it didn't bother me as much because I was high or I was continuing to use. So like my
Yeah.
tolerance was a lot better. I kind of
Yeah.
just took it for what it was. And
What were you do? It's been a while. Were you just doing oxy the whole time?
we were doing perk 30s.
That's what I was. Yeah, oxycodone. I meant. Yeah, yeah. That was my drug of choice. Was Perk 30s.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't judge anybody that does heroin whatsoever. I never did it because I was so addicted to Perk 30s.
Yeah.
Like that's all I ever wanted was a 30. We called them Johns back in Jersey. I don't know if you had like a special name for them. Did you? You just call them Perk 30?
Yeah,
No.
just 30s, just
Yeah.
30s.
No, yeah, 30s. Yeah, 30s was another one, obviously. Like, hey, you got any 30s?
Yep.
And oh my God, the one thing I can remember one time it scared the shit out of me. Um, so my brother and sister are complete normies, right? Like never did drugs except for smoking weed, which is not a drug. But like, and my brother smoked weed on one hand like 5 times. And my sister's 10 years younger than me. And I was living in my parents' basement at the time, because I was being successful in life.
Hmm.
And my sister might have been like 17 and she texted me saying, "Hey, can you get me a 30?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, my baby sister's doing drugs. Oh my God, what the fuck is happening right now?" Because I'm so addicted to 30s, my mind goes straight to that. And I was
Hmm.
like, what do you mean? Like, just like innocently, like, what do you mean? She was like, I need a 30, a Bud Light. And I was like, oh my God, a 30. A 30 pack, you idiot.
I would have thought the same thing though.
Exactly. Because that's where our mind goes, Kim. As
Yeah.
addicts, the people that love 30s, as soon as I hear, can you get me a 30? I'm like, number one, that's way too strong for you. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. Like, I'm like,
Like,
no,
hang on. I don't know if I want to do this. Like, don't go down that road.
yeah, yeah. And I was just so relieved that night that she wasn't asking me for pills. I didn't even charge a runner's fee because I usually charge runner's fee because I needed money to buy cigarettes and
For sure.
pills. So
A Polar Pop.
yeah, yeah, it would definitely, need a runner's fee. Never for my sister, but her sister's friends would throw in extra money, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I needed that runner's fee. But okay, so you get out of addiction. After you get out of addiction, how long does it take before you get Bryson, like custody back of Bryson? Like, what did you have to
So,
do?
yeah, I went to inpatient treatment in two, wait, 2020, January 9th, 2020, because I just had my 6 years. And so January 9th, 2020, I took myself to treatment because I had wasted all avenues, including child services trying to encourage me to get my shit together for 3 years.
Congrats on
So
6 years, by the way. Congrats on 6 years.
thanks. Um, so January 9th, 2020, I took myself to Midwest in Toledo, Ohio, detox, and then I went to the residential, which was like in housing, and I had several hours of group a day. And then COVID happened, and so all the meetings and everything that we were doing that was working for us got shut down. But like at the same time, we were pretty much on mandated like in the sober living like shut down, like we didn't go anywhere because nothing was open. And so
Yeah,
I made a decision and called my sponsor at the time and said, hey, like I've been here for 40 some days and like I can't go to any of these programs and whatnot because of COVID. And so I ended up going home. But I still was hungry for my recovery and everything I had grown from. And I got on in the rooms for meetings and online and whatnot. And I also found like a really cool TikTok recovery community, like people that also were like still trying to like chase that.
yeah.
And
It's a good recovery network. Is TikTok right now, still to this
yeah,
day.
and I still talk to those people 6 years
Mhm.
later. So like it's really cool. But so like I got clean, and so like I would say a year later, I ended up getting my first apartment, which was like a 2 bed little small apartment, but it was mine. And so I'm like, I want to go file to get custody back, like with my mom was never like supposed to be a permanent thing. And so a year into my being clean, I tried to file that, and it was the hardest battle I never knew I could expect being in recovery. It wasn't easy. My mom was not forthcoming. She had kind of developed like feeling like that he was hers. Um, and because of my mom and dad not having a healthy relationship, he was also a distraction for her. So she didn't have to sit there and deal with her unhappy marriage and everything else. So when I say I fought, I really had to fight. I remember like going through so much hurt and turmoil and disappointment, but it wasn't enough for me to say I give up, I'm throwing in the towel. Like I kept fighting, and like within 6 months after that I ended up getting him back. I had all the check marks ready to go for the courts, and he ended up coming back to me, and that's when we really both hit hard, like going to therapy and making sure, because it was almost like I was a new mom all over
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
Like like I was learning too. So
yeah.
I did everything
And
I
by
could.
yourself, not even with a partner.
Yeah, exactly.
You never partner to bounce shit off of. Like, hey, I got the last one. You can get this one.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. And it was me against my own mom. And I say that all
yeah,
the time. Like, if you ever think, I say that at work all the time. Like, I deal with a lot of the lady clients at work, and like the ones that either are fighting like custody cases and child services, or they feel hopeless. I tell them, I'm like, listen, like it's a battle worth fighting for, because I also felt that way, but I knew giving in the towel was not going to get me anywhere. Like
Yeah.
I knew what I wanted, and although I felt defeated quite a few times, like being clean and in recovery, like I didn't allow that to tear me down.
Yeah.
Like I had to keep pushing. I knew I had to. I was ready to rise to that challenge. So I'm glad I did. I'm glad I didn't give up, because the old me would have been like, oh yeah, just give up. Oh yeah, you're
Yeah.
not gonna, all those intrusive thoughts. But
Mhm. Yeah. Like
I'm
I'm
glad
not good enough.
this
I
off.
can't do this. And, I knew how to get high. I knew how to
Yeah,
stay high.
exactly.
I knew that game. But I think, you know, and maybe you think this way, maybe you don't, but I think everything we've been through in addiction has made us to be good parents today.
I agree.
Like, if I could survive addiction and what I've been through, then I can survive being a dad because, like, and I'm a stepdad to three,
Yeah.
22, 20, and 11.
Mm-hmm.
And, it can be a lot. Only the 11-year-old lives with us, the other two don't live with us. And it can be a lot sometimes, but, you know, I stand my ground a lot too when I need to. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, and it's definitely not easy.
Right.
Not
It's
easy,
not been,
but
yeah.
it's definitely worth it, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So,
I say, I used to pray. The problems I have today, I used to pray to have, compared to the ones I would create in my
yeah,
addiction. And so that's
yeah,
where I kind of am very humble. Like anything I face now, like although it may be difficult or stressful or frustrating or overwhelming, like it's nothing compared to when I was in my addiction, and I couldn't get my way through a single problem. I try to get
yeah,
around it, and like I don't have to live that way anymore, and so I'm very
yeah,
grateful.
yeah. And like you said at the beginning of this, and this is where we can even end it, is therapy is an amazing tool.
Yeah.
you know, and that's another reason why I started this show. The unlicensed therapist,
Hmm.
is to get people an opportunity to talk about things, to break down the stigmas, to where somebody right now could be watching this as a single mom that was an addict and hearing you talk about the things like, you and Bryson doing counseling and getting him back through custody and be like, oh my God, that's possible. I can do that you
Exactly.
know, and, because you're proof of that. He's doing very well. He's a senior in high school. You and him get along. We're friends. I see what you
Yeah.
post. Like, you have a very good relationship with him because I see that. I know, this isn't you making this up. I see it.
Right.
Like, and yeah, you're doing fucking awesome.
I appreciate you.
Um, so I'm pretty sure I've told you that before too, just privately, not on a screen.
Yeah.
Like, and it's the truth. You just need to keep doing what you're doing because it's working.
Yeah.
Um, you're not afraid to admit you're wrong.
Hmm.
Um,
And
and
crazy. You know what's crazy?
what's
My
that?
son, so he knows I work in the field. I have for the past 3, 4 years. But
Hmm.
my son wants to work in the field.
Does he?
Yeah. He wants to give back as someone that was affected by this whole thing. And that blew my mind. I'm sitting here like, oh my God, like not only could people take that situation and be like, oh my God, this was a horrible part of my life, but like
Yeah.
taking it and then also like, okay, but this is what I can do with it.
Yeah.
That blows my mind.
When did he tell you this?
Within the past 6 months, because he's a senior and he's doing a trade school for construction, which isn't something he's really interested. He just kind of did it to do it. But when he graduates, I'm like, he doesn't really want to go to college. I'm like, if you can avoid getting like the debt and the loans and all
Yeah.
that, like that's fine. You
Yeah.
don't have to go to college to be successful anymore.
Nope.
He said he wants to be entry level, like a behavioral health tech, in what I do, because he sees the passion I have to give back in my field. And
Yeah.
so he is saying that he wants to do that. And I'm like, oh
That's
my
fucking
God.
awesome.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, I mean, and he does have experience in it, not, lived experience as an addict, but on the other end of it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's just as important to have that kind of firsthand experience, you know, where he's been through.
Yep.
And
The child
also,
of an addict.
what's that?
The child of an addict.
Not just a child of an addict. When you weren't around while you were an addict and active addiction, he was obviously watching his grandfather drink the
Yep.
entire time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because, like you said it yourself, he just got at the beginning, he got sober a year and a half ago. And a year and a half ago, Bryson was with you. So
Mm-hmm.
that means for that decade or 13 years, whatever it was, that he was with your mom and dad, he was around constantly watching your dad drink.
It wasn't necessarily healthy. And
Yeah.
so that's
I mean,
another
you
reason
grew up that
why
way.
I, yeah,
You grew up that
yep,
way. You have firsthand knowledge of what it was like watching them.
yep.
And he
And that's
watched them.
another big reason why therapy was so important because I knew
Yeah.
it was going to be a struggle, you know. But yeah, he's such a good kid. Like he's been through hell and back. I mean, at the beginning, he was so angry and like he even ended up in the juvenile center just out of anger. Couldn't express it in the proper way, you know, mad at me, not understanding, but like at the end of the day, like he's pushed past that part and he now is on perfect on the perfect path to graduate, and me and him, like we have a great relationship. He drives me nuts because he roasts me and talks a bunch of crap, but no, like if you would have told me 10 years ago that I would be in this situation and have my own place and be able to get Bryson back fully, full custody and be out of the legal system and all these things and also work in the field, like I would have never believed you. I would have took that and been like, "Pfft,
Yeah.
not me. Couldn't ever be me, but like here I
Yeah.
am, you know?"
Yeah.
So
Now, and because like you are honest with him, you don't try to like sugarcoat your past, right? Like he could watch us right now and not be surprised by anything you just said.
yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah,
And
100%.
there's a lot of parents out there that would do this show and be like, I just can't let my son see it, because they're hiding things from their kids. And, it's not going to help your recovery, or it's going to, it's very important to be honest. Like my kid's 11. He knows I'm an addict. He knows his mom's an alcoholic. He knows we don't have alcohol in the house, that we haven't drank in 6 years.
Mhm.
Because February 29th will be 6 years without a drink for me and my wife. That's when we quit drinking. My wife is still doing very well at 6 years, and I've had a couple of relapses since then.
That's so amazing. That's so
Yeah,
amazing. It's a beautiful thing. It shows growth. It shows always willing to evolve from where you're at. And also, if I had one thing to tell people, like use anything that you don't like about yourself to grow from, you know?
yeah,
Like for me, what I have to do is always admit that I am not perfect and that I'm going to have defects of character and flaws. And if I don't like it, it's up to me to take responsibility and do something with that and grow out of
yeah,
it. Because once I think my work is done, that's when it gets dangerous. So I am
yeah.
very like much as I'm
Vigilant.
always, yeah, exactly. Exactly. So
Yeah,
yeah, we have a very open dialogue. And I think that also helps me as his mom. And like luckily, he comes home every night. He calls me if he's going to a friend's house or wants to go somewhere and he's not going to be home by a certain time. Like we have a very open
yeah.
relationship.
And it's funny you say that. So like surprised, because like we grew up without cell phones at that time, at that age, and with cars, and our parents not knowing shit about what we were doing. And now all of a sudden he's that age and he's telling you everything he's doing.
Yep. And he doesn't have to. He's not punished because he doesn't. He
Yeah.
just does.
Yeah,
So
you're not like berating him for information. Or do you interrogate him? No,
no,
because then the defensive comes out and it's not good for either of you.
exactly.
That's fucking awesome, Kim.
Yeah.
Thank you again for sitting down with me again and doing this
Yeah.
show.
It's been too
Um,
long. We'll have to do it again.
I know because you're doing fucking awesome. I'm
Thank
so
you.
proud of you
Thank
and
you.
what you've been doing. Congrats on 6 years. Like, and congrats on being an amazing mom because, like, it's you got it back. You're getting it all back.
And I think a lot of people need to hear that,
Yeah. 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 So I'll be in touch because,
Mhm.
we always talk and send you other funny shit
Yeah,
all the time.
for sure.
And I will see you later, Kim.
All right, that sounds good. Good to see you. All
All right, you too. Bye.
right, bye.